Hello, everyone, and welcome to Modern Mondays here at Guardian Games. We are Portland Paper, bringing you some modern Magic the Gathering. My name is Curran Delahanty, and I am joined by,
Ian Lunger.
yeah, we're here for some modern. We got started a little early here. We're on like turn two or turn three. This is Grixis mid-range versus Azorius Stoneblade. Jeremy versus Alder.
So, uh, we were kind of looking at this matchup early, and kind of in classic Legacy fashion, I felt like Grixis midrange probably has a bit of an advantage here. Kolaghan's Command is a heck of a card against Stoneforge Mystic and Equipment. So, expecting that Alder may be fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably gonna see some artifact destruction, some classic maybe some hand disruption as well. It's not it is I would also probably say that Grixis mid range is favored here, just in those regards.
Alder's really been he sticks to the white-bordered basics, which is something that I can respect.
I can get behind that too. I appreciate the classicness, and yep, here's Inquisition. Um, It doesn't look like he's going to respond because he's got double Spell Queller. I do appreciate the Deprive. We'll definitely be seeing Mystic Sanctuary at some point.
So, do you feel like there was Alder did not even hardly pause there and just chose to reveal the hand? Do you
I
feel like there
mean,
was any way that the spell queller should have been fired off there?
I don't mind holding up Spell Queller for something more threatening than Inquisition if I have a second one. I'm fine with just having one for a spell that might matter more, like because he hasn't made a land. Jeremy hasn't made a land drop yet, and like being able to counter a 3-drop Planeswalker or just something more threatening than Inquisition seems better. But it looks like Jeremy's just gonna pass after playing tap land.
I can kind of understand that, but I guess Alder's not positive what he's playing against. I feel like if you're on Alder's side, you don't want to go late against this Grixis midrange deck. So just
Having a
playing
Spell
playing
Queller.
yeah, playing land go with Jeremy, I think ultimately results in you losing this game.
Yeah, but I mean, so if Spellcaller came down, I would also say that like Grixis probably has a removal spell he hasn't even used yet, just probably banking in his hand somewhere. But
It does seem likely, yeah.
yeah, I do see a fatal push there. So the Spellcaller wouldn't have been long for the world anyway, and then Inquisition gets to go off again.
This is actually pretty aggressive
Wow,
on Jeremy's
there's a
side.
path. Is I guess, yeah, I think I'm really happy as Alder to take that trade. Like, yes, I will use my path for that.
I'm kind of just surprised that
That swamp should come in tapped.
Jeremy is even going on the offensive first. I feel like you probably in this matchup you just don't want to be the first to flinch, basically.
Are we gonna tap the swamp?
Um, yeah, let's.
Path to exile makes it come in tapped. Okay, well, as long
If
as
it
Jeremy doesn't use it for
Yeah, if it
anything,
matters, then we'll interrupt, and if it doesn't, then
it doesn't matter. He's untapping.
okay.
Okay.
Yes, path does put it into play tapped, so.
All right. So an opt. I think it was a scry to the top and draw.
Jeremy's been rocking those Euro basics for quite a while too. I love
Ooh,
the
Euro.
Euro
Yeah.
swamp is gorgeous. That kind of
It's a
purple
little bit more
tint.
classy than that white border island, unfortunately.
To each their own.
I know. Yo, is that
What?
Shrieking Affliction?
That is a shrieking affliction. Okay, Jeremy's Grixis piles always surprise me.
Okay, looks
Okay.
like a hardcast Murderous Strider coming down here. I don't know if Alder is gonna Alder is gonna spell queller it.
So let's take a look at I wonder if Jeremy is thinking that Alder's on blue-white control. Although I would think after seeing the deprive,
I
because
don't.
both
There's nothing to
players,
put him on Blade yet,
yeah,
but
that's true. Both players are kind of playing this more aggressively than I would have expected.
yeah.
Like kind of giving up on potential value to get pressure on the board early, which I was not what I thought this matchup was about.
It's not how I would approach the matchup as one of the players either. But you know what? It's interesting to see Magic played this way sometimes.
Certainly.
So Fatal Push coming down on the Queller gets the Murderous Rider back into play.
Oh, interesting. So if you push a Queller and there was another creature on board, you could potentially. Oh, you know what? It wouldn't go on an adventure hunt. Adventure requires it to be cast from hand.
Yeah,
huh?
it
But you
does.
could cast either side of the spell off the Queller, I believe.
Interesting. I don't know the ruling on that. Anyway, looks like Alder's pulling something up. Yep, Sword of Feast and Famine.
If anybody in chat knows the ruling on whether you can cast off a Queller, if you can cast,
It
would
would
still
go
go
on
on
an
an
adventure.
adventure.
Okay. And thanks for tuning in there, Milo. I appreciate that.
So we've got kind of the staring contest going on.
All right, that's a creature.
Jeremy runs out.
I
Kalidas.
think yeah. Alder's just probably gonna deprive that.
I would. Card can take over the board.
Do it. You have the Sanctuary. You have the tech. Yep, Sanctuary right back to hand and deprive in the yard. This is exactly where I want to be as Alder.
Yeah, so I would want to see
Super
Jeremy
sick.
follow up with something.
Ooh, one card left in Jeremy's hand though after that suspend. And Alder can just set up for it with deprive, man.
Yeah, I'm a little confused why we fired the Kalidas off there, knowing that Deprive was in hand with Sanctuary on board.
I don't know, but this is about to be big plays. Sword. Ugh. Yep. Come on in, buddy. There goes Nicole Bolas.
I guess Jeremy didn't want to cast the Bolus into.
That's a land, I think, that he just drew. I think Alder is securely going to...
I don't think that Shrieking Affliction hasn't gotten any value this game, I don't think.
End step, path the guy. So there's a Shrieking trigger there?
Jeremy would have to announce it.
He didn't, I don't think. I think he missed it. I know Alder plays for blood sometimes, but...
Let's take a quick look at Shrieking Affliction.
The beginning of each opponent's upkeep.
As one
or fewer.
Yeah,
okay,
so it
never
would've-
mind. Or well, yeah, there was.
Yeah,
that
I
one
think
turn.
it would have triggered there.
Looks like he got to deprive the Colgan's command
For
and come back in, and wow, just wow, man.
Deprive Lock is a hell of a thing. It's not Oko loop or Urza looping cryptics, but still still a powerful
I
synergy.
can't believe this. I walked up to Alder. I was like, "What are you playing tonight?" He's like, "I'm playing a bad deck." And I'm like, "What are you playing?" He's like, "This blue-white Stoneblade list that's not very good. It's not a good list." And I look at it and I'm like, "This looks like a fun list."
Yeah, it's one of those kind of like Stoneblade good stuff piles that looks like it. I mean, it's post ban, right? So for those that are joining us tonight, last Monday we had the bans announced, but Oko and Mox and Mycosynth
Lattice.
Lattice were all still legal this Monday. All of them are officially banned and not in play this evening. So this is our first Modern Mondays post ban. So we'll see. I think everybody's kind of, people love to bring their pet decks out after bannings because you have that moment where you think you can play anything because you're like, the best things are gone. Now I can play all these bad cards that I've been wanting to play. And then people come with bad cards and have a great time, and then people find out that their decks are bad, and then everybody plays the meta decks again after a big event. So we're in the kind of wonderful discovery period before the pros and everybody else has had a chance to tell us what we should be playing.
Yeah.
It's Tron.
It's by the way, it's Amulet type.
Yeah. Yes. I think being real, I do think it is Amulet Titan.
Yeah.
Although I think the deck has, like, Amulet Titan has some very strong weaknesses. I think the mono red prowess deck with Blood Moons in the board is a tough matchup. I think the devoted combo decks are still going to be very tough matchups for
Yeah,
Amulet.
like the finale one.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good
I
one.
think I think if Ad Nauseum comes back, that'll be tough. And the Death Shadow variants, the Grixis and Mardu Shadow variants are also tough for Amulet. So I think that I think Amulet's in a great spot, and I think it can win almost all of those matchups. But I'm glad that it has some natural predators because I think it'll actually in the long run save the deck from getting stuff banned out of it.
Absolutely. I pulled up a sideboard here just to kind of go over what is going on there. Alder has two Damping Spheres, uh, two Mystical Disputes, two Celestial Purges, one Jace the Mind Sculptor, one Ashiok Render, one Vendilion Click, one Sword of Fire and Ice, one Disdainful Stroke, one Rest in Peace, one Spell Skite, one Surgical Extraction, one Spell Pierce. It is a very, very, very one of board. And I could see a lot of different cards coming in given the matchup.
Yeah, Mystical Dispute seems good here. Um, I could see Jace coming in. If you feel like in Alder's spot that you can go over the top of Jeremy, then something like Jace would be pretty good. Although I do think Creeping Tar Pit is a great card against Jace.
I also like Spellskite a lot coming in against Jeremy as well. I think
Hmm.
it's decent.
Yeah, and then from Jeremy's side, we have three surgicals, Lily Last Hope, K Command, two Fatal Pushes, two Collective Brutalities, a Damping Sphere, an Unmoored Ego, a Nicol Bolas, um, Dragon God, two Damnations, and a Kalitas.
Wow.
I don't really like a lot of these here. I think adding another K Command is a good choice.
Yes.
But beyond that, everything else seems pretty marginal. I think a trap here would be boarding in Surgical in the hopes of like snagging a card from Mystic Sanctuary. I think
Ooh.
that's like something that players are like, I can stop Snapcaster or Mystic Sanctuary, but you're still going down a card in those exchanges, and I just don't think it's worth it in a matchup that's kind of decided by a lot of 2-for-1s.
Definitely. I agree with that. I always feel bad, like, whenever I would bring in Surgical versus Miracles or something like that. It's like, if I'm doing this to fight Snapcaster, it's bad.
I
But,
mean, if
yeah.
if your matchup is so bad that you kind of have to like surgical and get lucky to win, then I actually think like it flip flops and there's a point where it is worth it to bring in surgical. If your card economy against your opponent is like so bad that you know they're just going to like 3-for-1 you out of the game. And if you take one card out of their deck, in the case of Miracles, if their deck is full of air and then only has one type of removal spell, I think it can be good. But both decks seem to have a diverse array of answers in this matchup. So
Are we going for the Spell Pierce? Please do it. No. Has he got it? No.
OG Lily still one of my favorite Planeswalker designs of all time, because you so often see players resolve Lily and then they have to stop because they're like, wait, what do I do with it now?
Yeah.
Like these symmetrical Planeswalkers are just such a different thing to current Planeswalker design. You have a lot now that have like a static ability in 1+, and it's like, well, probably plussing it, right? Like there's not a lot of thought, and I don't think there are like any new Planeswalkers where you would think about casting them and then doing nothing, like not plussing or minus, just literally doing nothing with. And I actually think that's the right play more often than people would give it credit for with Liliana.
Oh man, yeah, Stoneforge grabbing the bus here, ready to drive it right into town. But there was the onboard edict, which Alder had to have some kind of preparation for, I imagine, maybe.
Yeah, I mean losing Stoneforge is not a huge deal. So
There
so
it
Jeremy
is.
truly is
Correct.
doing this is the hybrid Grixis. Okay, Jeremy clarifying that this is actually Grixis 2-rack. So we will call it. Apparently one the rack, one Shrieking Affliction.
I'm on Grixis mid-range, and I was like, okay, yeah.
That's basically what it is, I guess. If you like the win condition, yeah. Jeremy incredulous at the pass call. What, pass?
That's it.
I mean, we're not casting that Batterskull yet, so.
Yeah, not yet though.
But if I'm on Jeremy's side, my Spell Queller instincts are definitely tingling. My Spell Queller senses, because, like at the very least, run out the Sword of Fire and Ice, right?
Yeah. I don't know. But there's Colgan's command, and now I'm kind of glad I didn't run Sword out.
I suppose
Yeah,
I suppose
that was an interesting play.
Yeah, it looks like Jeremy's aggressively trying to go
trigger
empty-handed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think aggressively trying to put both players at no cards in hand. The modes chosen were 2 damage and discard a card. So the 2 damage mode is always really, well, in this case, it's very mopey. Probably inconsequential, and the discard a card is medium.
I think Alder just needs to hold on to a land and
Oh,
play
so
Batterskull.
Alder does have a Spell Queller in hand. So
is that what he's thinking?
yeah, so debating whether to run out the Spell Queller, it could be a trap here. If Jeremy has a removal spell.
I mean, that's what Alder's asking, right? Are you going to tick down that Liliana?
Right, which I think is good, because Alder read that Jeremy's plan is to kind of ride this Liliana till both players have no cards in hand. So, okay, that'll do it. That's a magic card. Yeah.
Yeah, Nicole Bolas, Dragon God.
It's a hell of a card here.
He gets all the loyalty of the Planeswalkers in play. Like all the abilities rather, but like, why would you do, like, most of the time you just want to +1 Nicole Bolas Dragon God because you're like, oh, putting a permanent away, perfect.
So, oh man, this is super interesting. So it also gets Liliana's minus. So would you consider, knowing that Alder probably has no direct damage spells, would you just downtick for Lily's minus here to?
Looks like that's what Jeremy would do.
I actually think I think this is a mistake. I think Jeremy not realizing that he needs to actually use Lily's minus, because Nicol Bolas has Lily's ability. So I think it would have been, Jeremy will rewatch this, and it was probably strictly better to minus using Lily's ability in this case.
Yeah. I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to just leave a second counter on Nicole Bolas.
Right, but it may not end up mattering. But kind of interesting that when you have this card in play, you really have to consider such a wide swath of possible abilities.
Man, I am super surprised. I don't know.
I mean, I'm just more concerned because like if I take it, I'm still in the rack. Yeah, it doesn't like.
We are confirming that the rack is symmetrical. Or
Not symmetrical.
Not symmetrical.
Yeah, that you
Okay.
pick a player when it ETBs. So curious about the Oracle text of the rack.
Okay.
I think players determining that with the Oracle text, a player is chosen when the rack enters play. So Archmage's Charm stealing the rack would not do what Alder would want it to do.
Yeah. Yep. So this is where Nicole Bolas starts doing his crazy thing.
Yeah, Fuzzy. I think Jeremy just missing that was a possibility this time around with the Nicol Bolas. This looks like feels like Jeremy has Alder in the squeeze here.
Yeah, it looks like we might be heading. Oh wow.
To game 3. 2 active walkers on board, and now our honorary planeswalker, Dreadhorde Arcanist.
What a planeswalker indeed. All right. Well.
I forgot. What do we have? Do we have an IOK in yard for Jeremy? I don't know if we have any.
Yeah, there's one
Good.
IOK in yard.
Okay.
That could theoretically be flashback. So the Archmage Charm drew 2. Find Stoneforge. Now we're just trying to pressure Liliana back down.
That's such an uphill battle.
I wonder how Alder's gonna navigate this exactly.
So we know Alder. I guess Alder cashed in the Archmage's Charm. It looks like there's a Path to Exile in hand and a Polluted Delta. You're probably priced into pathing the Arcanist, maybe in response to the. Oh no, yeah. If you do it, you'd have to do it before pre-combat, I think, because you don't want to get your equipment IOK'd out of hand.
Right.
I feel like it's the squeeze at this point. Like we've got the rack squeeze plus, even if the rack wasn't there, just like the double planeswalker squeeze
Exiling Path to Exile out of his hand.
is pretty significant. I feel like we probably see Jeremy just head to combat here. No.
We got pre-combat stuff. That's a Kalitas. That's way off camera.
I think, yeah, another card. I think we probably should have played that post combat. It would have been good, I think, for Jeremy to just represent a number of things.
He gets a zombie here though. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Alder scoops it up, and let's go to game 3.
Well, we've gotten to see both decks do their thing. So
yeah, we that was definitely something. I'm really sad that Jeremy didn't take the opportunity to use the static of Nicole Bolas to his advantage, but maybe there's time in game 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it is such an exciting, like, it's one of those cards that you have the opportunity to like feel big brained using,
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you have that many options, you have 6 planeswalker abilities, you can feel you have that ability to feel very clever. And that, that's why a lot of us play Magic, right? You want to like feel clever, like you're smart boy or girl.
But the +1 is also just like kind of backbreaking at a certain point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think on a board where you're ahead, it's backbreaking. I think in a lot of instances, like, you're going to have an extra permanent sitting around, like if the game is close, that ability seems fairly marginal to me on a 5-mana planeswalker.
Man, so wild.
Like, I think I would rather Jace 0 in most instances than that ability.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it would take a little bit, but I mean that's also just plus oneing is how you start to get ahead anyway.
Right.
So
Right.
oh man, can we get both players to
Okay,
keep
so
7?
Jeremy drew 8,
Oh
and
no.
so there are a few different possible resolutions to this. I believe in SCG I have seen them do like a super duress effect or super Thoughtseize effect where the opponent actually gets to pick a card that gets shuffled in,
Yeah.
but I think in non-comp REL, because we are playing kind of just a
It's just our casual
yeah,
Monday, right?
casual REL. They're just going to pick a card at random and shuffle it back into the deck. Something a little less punishing.
Yeah. I have been on the side of super thought seizing my opponent before, and it is powerful.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, get probe. Free get probe plus see their best card. Yeah, seems
Information
good.
obtained.
Yeah, you know
Let's
exactly
go.
what plan they're on. Yeah.
So, after putting that rando back, it looks like Alder's still deciding whether he
Yeah.
wants to keep 7 or not, and it looks like he's got a lot of lands and a borrower, and I agree
Yeah, there was also a
with that.
Stoneforge in there, so it didn't look like complete error, but maybe Alder's looking specifically for some counter magic.
Man, you've had rack both games. So wait, I'm curious. Why play one rack and one shrieking affliction? Just to get people to think you have 5 cards.
So Alder's asking Jeremy why he's only playing one copy of the rack and one copy of Shrieking Affliction, and Jeremy's answer is just because it's like fun and a pile of cards and you know to get them, to spook them.
Spook him a little bit.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite like SCG quotes way back when Tom Ross was like always playing 8-rack variants, and he played 8-rack with like a bunch of swamps, a pile of swamps and one marsh flats, and was asked like why play the marsh flats because there was no like white sources or anything in the deck, and his answer was to spook them.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. I like that way better than the deck thinning argument for playing fetches. I think you're really leaning into it when you say to spook him.
I remember there was this interview with Caleb Durward as he was doing like Grixis Thopter something in Legacy, and he played one of Thopter Foundry. He's like, the first thing he said about Thopter Foundry in the deck, he was like, yeah, it's pretty good. It pitches to Force of Will because it's blue.
Yeah, that is whack.
That's like the first thing he said. He's like, oh yeah, and there's a sword in there, just like in case it goes that way, but it generally doesn't.
Yeah. So Jeremy not too worried about the Archmage's Charm, goes for the op, taking away Alder's card selection here.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. I think in a vacuum, Archmage's Charm is maybe the more powerful card.
Yeah, I wonder if Jeremy just has another discard spell, or is like, I don't know,
Possibly,
just not really worried about it.
Yeah, maybe wants to toss out a strong 2-drop here that would not be able to be stolen by. Okay.
Okay.
All right, then that makes sense. Okay, and now Jeremy aware of the Queller in Alder's hand.
Alder just fetching away.
Crazy, the both players have fetched shocks, but Jeremy trying to make active use of the shocks has quickly lost 4 more life than Alder here, so we'll have to see if that makes a difference ultimately.
Well, Alder is on the shock train as well.
It's a little
Didn't wanna do the
surprising.
Strand.
Yeah, why do you think Alder would run out the Hollowed Fountain instead of the Strand there?
I can't imagine any reason. That
Yeah.
nothing comes to mind. Maybe this will be the reason, right here. Oh wait, yeah. That's
So Alder's got to be thinking Jeremy knows about this Queller, so doesn't mean it's the wrong choice but it does suggest that Alder actually has another card in hand that's worth something, like a non-land card in hand.
Exactly. Jeremy down to 13 here. Grabs that swamp, that beauty Euro swamp.
So probably gonna see Fatal Push here then.
Nah.
Wow, interesting.
Dreadhorde Arcanist comes to the table.
So I guess just ran the Thoughtseize out specifically to clear the Queller out of the way, whether it was going to take it or whether it was the Queller was going to put Thoughtseize under it.
I know Alder's got an island in hand, but I'm not sure what his other card is.
And Jeremy has, I believe, an IOK available to flash back in yard.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming down the pipeline. What's going to happen? It's an Archmage's Charm. Hell yes.
So I
Draw
guess we're just going to
two?
see draw 2. Yeah, and the Stonefall are just going to go.
woof.
So got a little mopey, but so now we get to see if Jeremy has an answer for this Queller. Currently losing the race, and not a lot of fodder for this Arcanist in Jeremy's graveyard. So
Did the Arcanist damage get marked? I don't even know if oh, yeah.
we go.
Okay, they caught it.
Alder's going to start trying to make use of this excess mana. Tossing Archmage's Charm on top of the library, going to draw it for turn. Yeah, if Jeremy can't find... One of the things about Dreadhorde Arcanist that really surprised me was I actually thought it would be quite easy to always have fodder for the card.
Right.
It feels like if you're playing like 12 1-drops, you're like, oh, I'm fine. Like, I'll always have something to do with it. And in practice, it's actually a lot of work, I think, to continue to have fodder for the card in Modern.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot. There are more 2 or 3 drops that matter so much more.
And you're not playing like a cantrip cartel, you know? Like you don't have, you might be playing like you might be playing like a playset of Opt or a playset of Serum Visions and then some removal spells. K-Command looking pretty mopey here. I think, and again, so we're seeing Jeremy's losing the race currently, and this is partially due to the 4 damage that Jeremy took off of Fetch Shocking early in the game. So
he's got a Surgical Extraction and a Nicole Bolas Dragon God. He might try to extract the Archmage's Charm.
Ooh.
Wow.
So
Really? Yeah, I mean...
I think if I'm Alder, I just cast it to draw 2 cards and say fine. Like, I just am not that... Jeremy will be able to flash back the extraction with the Arcanist. But, it just seems... So, remember when we were talking about how I feel like Surgical's a trap card? I feel like this is kind of that moment where Jeremy needed some gas or a removal spell or something, and we see Extraction going for Archmage's Charm, and ultimately Alder still is able to cast it. So we're getting the charms out of the yard, but Alder's still sitting on some great cards in hand.
Celestial Purge looks so good right now.
Yeah, so we could purge, if we want to, we could purge the Arcanist, but I might not even, I might even just save that and maybe think about Brazen Borrowing the Arcanist.
Well, so the thing is, Jeremy's last card is Collective Brutality. So we are going to see a Duress effect. And
oh, so you just fire off the Purge then? Because you can't take the Borrower. Because even though Petty Theft is an instant or sorcery, it's stapled on a creature body, so Brutality is not able to take it.
That is correct.
So Jeremy just basically desperately needs to hit a land here.
For Nicole Bolas, and I think he just drew Thoughtseize. Okay, so in response...
Ooh, I think we just run this out, right?
Yeah, go.
Yeah.
He did it.
Wow.
Got it. Oh, Alder. 2-1.
So actually like a pretty close and interesting match.
Wow.
You know, we get a lot of mid-range piles that start to come out of the woodwork. during bannings, which make for some really fun matches to watch. I think there were lots of opportunities for players to make meaningful decisions in this matchup, including with sideboarding.
Yeah, I mean, cause I was not really aware of how Jeremy had designed his deck, but like, yeah, our predictions were like, Grixis traditionally would be able to smash a strategy that uses equipment as well as has to put it in hand due to Stoneforge Mystics, so your Thought Seizes and your Inquisitions hit. But yeah, Alder Spellqueller's a powerful card.
Spellqueller is powerful.
Unchecked.
I don't think we saw any Snapcasters out of Jeremy's deck, which
Not
I don't
Jeremy, no.
I don't know if any are in the deck, but that was kind of when I was trying to analyze the matchup. I was thinking that Grixis plays some very powerful spells and things like K command, so paired with something like Snapcaster that you can return from the yard, I think it would be really strong. And one thing we didn't see was Jeremy being able to use that mode of K command where you can return a card from the yard, like a creature from the yard to the hand.
Didn't see any of that.
Which is one of like the kind of main value chain aspects to Grixis, in my opinion. So interesting and alternate deck design that maybe kind of was a less traditional Grixis pile there that played out differently than I was expecting.
Yeah, definitely. That was quite entertaining though, honestly.
Yeah,
I very much enjoyed seeing that after a Oko-filled world.
For sure. Yeah, it is fresh to see some non-Oko piles.
Yeah.
So we are going to take a short break. We only have 7 minutes left in round, and so it's going to be tough to find a match to fill that time. So we will take a quick break and be back for round 2 shortly. So grab a beverage, and we will see you all in a moment.